Hakadosh Boker Tov, Masechet Yevamot Daf Samech Amud Bet 67b on the bottom. Today, Daf, we're going to do Samechet, which is 68. Okay, we're just on the last line of Samech Amud Bet, but we're going to be doing today Samechet Amud Aleph. The Gemara says Vaerusin, right? Ibat Kohen Israel. We're talking about now Erusin. Remember that Erusin is the first step, the first stage of marriage. So if it's going to be a Bat Kohen to a Israel. So pasila, so he's going to make her pasul. Why? Teha samechet amud aleph on the top. Teha kanya ba'avaya. What happens is that Mina Torah, from the time of Erusin, he already acquires her. The Bat Israel le Koheni. Now, if it's a Bat Israel that gets married to a Kohen, lo ma'achila, he does not give her to eat mishum de ula, because of ula. What was ula? Ula was the gezerah that he said that Dvar Torah and Arusa does eat teruma, but it says kinyan kaspo, and it's already kinyan kaspo the second that he does erusin. However, though they went and they said that maybe they're going to come and they're going to give her a cup of wine of teruma, and she's still in her father's house. Now her father and family, she's a Bat Yisrael, nobody can eat teruma. So because of that, what happens is that by accident she could give her other family members to eat teruma. So until she doesn't go to the house of her husband, that's when she's going to start eating truma. But until then, no. Says the two dots, the acheresh. Yeah, we're talking about acheresh. Okay? I bat kohen. So we're talking about acheresh, that he comes and he's getting married to a bat kohen or bat Yisrael. That's what now the Gemara is going to speak about. Okay, we're on Samechet Amud Aleph. Yeah, acheresh. I bat kohen Israeli. If we're talking about now bat kohen to a Israel, pasila. He already disqualifies her. Why? Because he already acquires her mishum takana chachamim. Therefore, she's a surah to eat truma midrabanan. Because remember, a cheresh, which is somebody that does not speak or does not hear, so therefore he cannot get married because he's not a ben dat. So therefore, he can't even do a kinyan. However, though chachamim went and they said that midrabanan he could do irusin and isuin. So therefore, because of that, when the Bat Kohen gets married to this Cheresh, midrabanan, right, she cannot eat anymore the Truma. Bat Israel le Koheni. What about the opposite? Let's say the Kohen is a Cheresh and she's a Bat Israel. Lo ma'achil, because it's written Kinyan Kaspo. Amar Rachmana. It says Kinyan Kaspo. V'hai lavi bar Kinyanu. This person's a Cheresh. A Cheresh cannot make a Kinyan. So since a Cheresh cannot make a Kinyan, that's what we said in our Mishnah. The Cheresh is posel velo ma'achil. Disqualifies and also does not give to eat. It works both ways. Okay? Ben Teisha Sharim. We're talking about now a 9-year-old. It's posel velo ma'achil. What's going on? Kasal kadaitin. So we thought to say at the beginning, Beshomeret Yavam leben Teisha v'yom echad. We're talking about now a Shomeret Yavam. That it's going to be ben Teisha v'yom echad. What does that mean? That she fell in front of somebody that has to do yibum to her, and he's going to be 9 years old in one day. Now, it says over here, he still didn't have relations with her. So the Mishnah is saying that a Yavam, once he's at this age, right, that he's going to be a Yisrael, he's going to be posel, a bat Kohen from eating Truma. Now, a Yavam in this age, right, that he himself is a Kohen, is not going to be Mizaken, a bat Yisrael to give her to eat Truma. So that's why it says that Ben Teisha Shanim is posel, velo ma'achil. Posel at Kavanah, that once he's 9 years old in one day, he would posel otah from eating Truma. Mitzad Sheni, eno ma'achil, if he's a Kohen, eno ma'achil, because he still doesn't do the kinyan, because he's not bar mitzvah. So since he's not bar mitzvah, he cannot do lemai. To which one of the cases we were talking about in the Mishnah? Il mifsal, if you're going to be that you're talking about you're being posel the bat Kohen from eating truma, so you're teaching us that since this yavam is not fitting for that he is fitting for biyah, so it's poselet. Katan nami mifsal pasil. Says 1 second. Also katan, that even he's less going to be 9 years old. He's less than 9 years old. He should also be posel. Ve'i la'achule, and if it's to give her to eat, gadol nami lo ma'achil. Also, gadol cannot give him to eat. Why? Because we already learned that a yavam does not give to eat because it's not kinyan kaspo, it's kinyan achiv. So also he doesn't give her to eat. So for what are we talking about then? So Amar Abaye says, "Hachab yavam medesha shnim yom echad, habal yivin toskin." No. Here we're talking about that he's 9 years old in one day, that he had relations with a Yavam. He's 9 years old. Once he's 9 years old, it's considered relations. That's why Yichud starts at the age of 9. He goes with the Yavama. So salka daita chamina, I would have thought to say holu midoraita kanile midoraita. He does acquire her. Ubiato bia, and his bia is a bia. So ema lochil. I would say now it's kinyan kaspo. Kamash Balan comes to teach you eno ma'achiloto, but it's not kinyano mina Torah. It's only midrabanan, because they did biat ben teisha shnim yom echad k'ma'amar begadol, meaning that bia, even though midoraita the bia of teisha shnim yom echad is a bia, but they made it like a ma'amar. Just like by a gadol, there's such a concept of ma'amar beli bia. So to mean that a yavam comes and he does ma'amar, it's like kiddushin, and it's not bia. That's only the rabbanan. So to hear his bia, even though technically doraita it's 100% a bia, that's it. Doraita is done, but they made it like a ma'amar. Why? Because he's only 9 years old and one day. That's the Gemara. Yeah. So now the Gemara is going to come and is going to say as follows. So we just said that the Rabbanan, they went and they made the bia like a ma'amar. So Amaleh Rava comes and he says, Yachi, if so, Seifa, let's see the Seifa. The Seifa of the Mishnah said, Safek ben teisha shanim yom echad, Safek sheno, whatever it says, you have a doubt whether he's 9 years old or not. So Hashta, Vadai ben teisha lo ma'achil, Safek nivai. If you just told me now that a Vadai ben teisha shanim yom echad lo ma'achil, he cannot give to eat truma, so Kal vachomer then a Safek if he's got teisha shanim yom echad. So what's the Safek of the Gemara then? Sorry. Thank you. Elama Rava, but rather Rava says, here, when we're talking about ben teisha shanim yom echad, right? We're talking about the pasle bebiatan. We're talking about that they were posel, right? Bebia. Uchirtanya, just like we learned, ben teisha shanim yom echad, ger, amoni, moavi, mitzri, vadomi, kuti, natin, halal, mamzer, shebao al kohenet levia v'yisraelit, pesaluha. This is what we said. At the age of 9 and 1 day, the second that they are age of 9 and 1 day, they already are posel different people. So you have, for example, ger, right? That he's a ger amoni, or a moavi, or a mitzi, or a dami. That obviously these are gerim. They cannot come into the kahal until certain generations, or forever, right? Amon moav, kuti, right? Anatin, halal, mamzer. They now had relations, whether it's going to be on a kohenet, levia, or Yisraelit. What happens? She's psula to the keuna. Why? Because this bia after the age of 9 years old disqualifies her. Yeah? Yeah, that's Tani Seifa, that which we learned to the Seifa, that if they cannot come into Israel, Harelu Poslim, so therefore obviously the Seifa was not talking about Poslim. Because if the Seifa was talking about Poslim, the ones which are not allowed to come into Israel, so the Reisha was not. So answers the Gemara, no. Reisha was Psulek Kahal. Psulek Kahal was what we just mentioned before, the people that cannot come into the Kahal Bichlal. For example, Mamzer. Mamzer cannot get married at all, right? For all generations, they can go married. Or a Ger Amoni Moavi, is Leolam, it's forever, right? So that's going to, but the Seifa is talking about Psulek Keuna, which is basically for the Halal. Okay? Fine. Says the Gemara, Gufa. We're talking about Ben Teisha Shanim Yom Echad. Right? When we're talking about a 9-year-old boy, Shuger Amonim Moavim Mitziv Adomi Kuti Natin Chalal Mamzer, Shebao, that they had relations with a Kohenet Leviyahu Yisraelit. Pesalua, they made her psula with a struma for keuna. Rabbi Yosef Omer, Rabbi Yosef says, Kol shezaro pasul posel. Anybody that he himself, his children, are not allowed to get married to a Kohen, he's posel the woman with his relations to the keuna. Kol she'en zaro pasul. But if his children are not pasul for keuna, right? So eno posel, so he's not going to prohibit the woman, right, to keuna. Rashbag comes and he says, right? Kol she'ata noseh bito, ata noseh almenato. If you could get married to the daughter, that means the daughter is permitted to the keuna, you could get married to the almana as well. But kol she'en ata noseh bito, but if you can't get married to the daughter, ata noseh almenato, you cannot get married to the almana as well. How do we know these words? I'm going to read them. It says in Pasuk, Ubat Kohen, Kitye Lish Zar. Yeah, when it says that a Bat Kohen, when she's going to be Lish Zar, to a stranger, right? So he be Trumat HaKodashim Lo Tochel. She's not allowed to eat Truma. Why? She got married. Kevin Shnivala, once she has relations, that's Kitye, Le Pasula to an Ish Zar. Pesala, he made her disqualified from eating Truma. So says the Gemara, what are you talking about? Hi mi baile, I thought that you needed it for kipshuto. The Kamar Achmana that the Torah says, Bat Kohen mitzvah lezal lo tochel. It means basically when you have a daughter of a Kohen, she gets married to somebody that's not a Kohen. That's it. There's nothing what to talk about. She doesn't need truma anymore. Which means that if you learn it kipshuto, so we're talking about a Bat Kohen, she gets married to a regular Israel, she stops eating truma. So then how are you telling me now when it says kitieli zar, it means when this woman is going to have relations with the zar, which is pasul for her, so she's not allowed to eat truma anymore. It's not kipshuto. So says the Gemara, ahi v'shaval bet avia kinudei milechem avia tochel nafka. Says no. When you have the yisur of a bat kohen that's getting married to a regular Israel, that you learn it from, right? You learn it from v'shaval bet avia kinudei. You learn it from that when she's going to go back to her father's house, so then she's going to eat. Since the Torah says only v'shaval bet avia when she goes back to her father's house, so therefore that's when she's going to eat. So it's mashma that right now when she's married, she does not eat. Okay? So says the Gemara, if I'm going to tell you from the pasuk of Veshaval Betavia, Hava Mina, I would have thought to say it's a lava ba miklal aseh, that a negative commandment which comes from a positive commandment is a positive commandment. So therefore, Katab Rachmana, high love, so therefore the Torah says, she's not allowed to eat, that it's a negative commandment also. So therefore it's going to give her lashes on eating it. Because remember, if it's a positive commandment, you can't give her lashes. If it's a negative commandment, you could give her lashes for eating it. It's like the Torah says, don't eat pig. By saying don't eat something, now it's giving you lashes on doing it, if you actually eat it. Because it's a negative commandment. If it was only a positive commandment, then you can't. So says the Gemara, Lav mi vechol zar lo yochal kodesh nafka. The lo ta'aseh on eating truma comes from the pasuk, vechol zar lo yochal kodesh. Any stranger cannot eat kodesh. So therefore from here we're learning that once she becomes a zara because she got married to a Israel, so therefore she's not allowed to eat kodesh, and therefore you don't need this. Okay, Samechet Amubet 68b. So says the Gemara, still haomi baile legufe. When it says v'chol zar lo yochal kodesh, again we need it for itself, which means whenever you have a pasuk, there's always the kipshuto. Kipshuto means the simple meaning of the pasuk, and then there's the dirasha. The simple meaning of the pasuk is any stranger cannot eat kodesh. We're not talking about now v'chol zar lo yochal kodesh. We're talking about a bat kohen getting married to a zar, and now she cannot eat. We're talking about any stranger cannot eat kodesh. So answers the Gemara, Trei v'chol zar k'tiveh. There's twice written v'chol zar. It says v'chol zar lo yochal kodesh in pasuk yod, and then it says v'chol zar lo yochal bo in pasuk yud gimel. So the fact that it says it in both, so therefore it comes here the Gemara and says that's why it's two different ones. One is kipshuto, that a zar cannot eat kodesh, and the other one is for a bat kohen that she gets married to a zar, to Yisrael, she also cannot eat anymore kodesh. Ask the Gemara, "V'akati mibayle lechto Rabbi Yosef bar Chanina." We still need it for Rabbi Yosef bar Chanina. Ta'amar Rabbi Yosef bar Chanina says Rabbi Yosef bar Chanina, "V'chol zar lo yochal bo." What does it mean? V'chol zar lo yochal bo? Zarut amarti lecha ve'lo ba'aninut. Only zarut and not aninut. What does it mean? There's no isur for an onen to eat truma. You know what an onen is? Onen is somebody that the family member passed away, right? The family member passed away, so therefore they are considered onenim. So therefore, right, ba'aninut, there's no isur. It just says v'chol zar lo yochal bo. Rabbi Yosef bar Chanina, however, answers the Gemara, Rabbi Yosef bar Chanina mizar v'chol zar, meaning it could have just said v'zar lo yochal bo. Why did it say v'chol zar? So it comes to include v'chol, which is coming to teach you that we just mentioned right now, that it's talking about also the bat kohen. Okay, so it says the Gemara v'achati mibayle. We still need it for the Tanya. We learn kesheyi chozeret litruma v'no chozeret lechaze v'sho. When she gets almana, she becomes a widow. She goes back to her father's house. Can she eat everything of the kiuna again? So here the Gemara is teaching us, no. Bat Kohen got married to Yisrael. She became an almana. She has no children. She goes back to her father's house. Can she eat everything normally again?
She can eat some.
Here it says she could only eat the truma again. Chazeh v'shok, she does not eat. Remember that there's three type parts of the animal that are matanot kehuna. Matanot kehuna is the chazeh v'shok, right? The which is basically going to be the breast area, the chest area, the shok, the thigh area, right? And the So therefore, the lechayayin, which is the cheek. So therefore, these things she does not go back to it. That's what it says over here. Are you guys listening? One more time. Keshehi chozeret litruma ve'ena chozeret lechaze v'shok. Ve'amar Rav Chasta amar Ravina amar Bar Shila. Ma'ikra. How do we know this? Tichtiv bat kohen tiyel yizar hi betrumat hakodashim lo tochel. So from then on, she can never eat from the muram min hakodashim. She can only eat from the truma, but not from these things. So says the Gemara, if so fine. So lichtov kra. Why doesn't the pasuk say hi bekodashim lo tochel? Might be trumat hakodashim. So what is trumat hakodashim? Shma mina tarte. Right? It's going to teach you two different halachot. Okay, fine. Ashkechan kohenet. This is talking about a kohenet that she becomes psula to truma by being with a pasula, with a biyah, leviyah Yisraelit. How do you know leviyah Yisraelit also? So says the Gemara, keda'amar Rabbi Abba amar Rav, bat ubat kohen. You could have just said bat kohen. What is it ubat kohen? Right? Achanami bat ubat, which means that the extra vav is coming to teach you that just like a bat kohen becomes psula from eating from truma, so too the Leviyah or the Israelite also the same halacha. Kiman, who does this go? Like Rabbi Akiva, the Darish Vavin, that he is going to be Doresh Vavs, right? The extra Vav, Ubat. So says the Gemara, no, Afilu Tema Rabbanan, even if you want to say it's the rabbis, Kule Ubat, the entire pasuk is extra. So since the entire pasuk is extra, even the rabbis agree to this drasha. And it's not only just Rabbi Akiva because it has the extra vav of ubat kohen, but it's also according to the rabbis. Okay, so ashkechan truma lekiuna menalan. This is only to do with truma, which means if one of these people, which are psulim, come and have relations with her, she's not allowed to eat truma. How do you know that she cannot come and get married to a kohen? So says the Gemara. Atu leviyah Yisraeli lo keuna marbinala. He says, 1 second. We're talking about the leviyah Yisraeli. We're talking about getting married to the keuna. Truma, because if it's going to be truma, they don't make hal truma. They were never able to eat truma. A leviyah, can she eat truma? No. The Israelite eat truma? No. So when we're adding a leviyah Israelite to the bat kohen, what are we adding her to? We're not adding her to truma because anyway she was never able to eat truma. We were adding that she cannot get married to a kohen. So too when we're talking about the kohen, we're not talking about only the truma. We're talking about also that she cannot get married to a kohen. So says the Gemara, Allah malo, why not? Mashkachala dekachla bishvil bena. Maybe she's eating because of her son, which means that she's eating because she has a child. So says the Gemara, Bishvil bena, for a child, kal vachomer. It's a kal vachomer. Uma kohenet viktusha dinafsha achla pasila. If in a case where you have a kohenet, that in kedusha, right, it's going to be pasila. It's going to come. It's going to disqualify her. Viyavi Israelit, and when we're talking about viyavi Israelit dilachla la bishvil bena, that you're only eating because of the child, lo kol sheken, is it not a kol sheken then? So what are you talking about then? Yeah? So says the Gemara, v'hi anotenet. What are you talking about? That in itself is what we're talking about. Kohenet de kadish kufa pasilla. The kohenet, she's holy. She in herself is holy. We're going to read in this week's Bat Kohen, she's holier than a regular Bat Yisrael. So therefore, pasila. So therefore, when this pasul comes and he has relations with her, he's going to disqualify her. Had de lo kadish kufa, but this is a regular woman, which is a Yisraelite or a Leviyah. It's not kadish kufa. So lo pasila. So maybe it's not going to disqualify her. Meaning like this. Maybe I would have said that if one of these people that are going to come and contaminate her, whether it's talking about a natin, mamzer, a geradomim, itzri, all these things, mamzer, everything, the kuti, all these, when they have relations with her, I would say that since she's on a higher level because she's a bat kohen, now she becomes disqualified for the kiuna. But if it's a Yisraelite that her body is not as holy as a kohen, so I would have thought to say that maybe it doesn't disqualify her for kiuna. So therefore, that's what we were saying. So says the Gemara, no. Ella, the kiuna is a kal vachomer from a grusha. What does that mean? Uma grusha shemuteret betruma asura lekiuna. Zo she'asura betruma eno din shepsula lekiuna. So 1 second. What did we just say? A woman gets divorced. Yeah? If a woman gets divorced, she's a bat kohen. She's a bat kohen. She got married to a Yisraeli. Exactly. So she goes back to her father's house. She's allowed to eat. So now, if a grusha is allowed to eat teruma, so she was a bat kohen, right? And now all of a sudden, when she's a grusha, she's allowed to eat teruma. So therefore, and still she's asura t'kiuna. Because remember, a grusha is not allowed to get married to a kohen, any kohen, right? Only an almana, but not a grusha. Okay. So he says, so then kal v'chomer then that this woman, right, that she's going to be asura betruma, because the second that she became psula because she had relations with one of these people, she's not allowed to eat truma. So kal v'chomer then that she's not allowed to get married to a kohen. So says the Gemara, lechi mazirim min adin. Since when do you warn because of a kal v'chomer? This is a kal v'chomer, correct? We made a kal v'chomer, right? He comes and he says we never learn from a kal v'chomer, right, with an azara, because in mazirim min adin, meaning that if the Torah wants to come and tell you something negative, it has to tell it to you. It can't be a kal v'chomer. Right? I can't learn a kal v'chomer from it. Yeah, it has to be mifurash. It has to be 100% there. I cannot learn it like that. You understand? So says the Gemara, no, gilui milta be'alma. Really, be'emet, it's only a gilui milta. Why? It's not a real kal v'chomer. Teach what the Lota says. Really, be'emet, it's the kal v'chomer is only revealing to you that a woman becomes psula to truma. For sure, she becomes psula also to the kiuna. But really, be'emet, it's already coming from the Torah. So says the Gemara, one second. Why is it only chayve kritut? Meaning like this: if a mamzer has relations with a Jewish girl, is there a kritut there? There's no karet. There's a love. A geramoni mitzri, right? Lo yavo lahem bikal Hashem. It doesn't say karet. It's a love. It's a negative commandment. So therefore, yeah, there's a makot there, but there's no karet. So therefore, maybe be'emet, when we say that she becomes pasul to the kiuna, it's only if it's nivala to somebody that's chiyuv karet. If it's not somebody that's chiyuv karet, maybe be'emet she's still not psula to the kiuna. So answers the Gemara, ki tiyeh malachmana. No. If it's kiritut, there's no kiddushin. There has to be kiddushin. Kiddushin chayve kritut lo chal kiddushin. Okay, so therefore that's why here it cannot be chayve kritut. But it says ki tiyeh. So this ba'avaya chayve kritut la b'nei avaya ninu. So Yahachi, if so, what about a goy? And this is one of the most common cases today. A goy has relations with a Jewish girl, and now she wants to get married to a kohen. She cannot. So the question is, when a goy has relations with her, is there a kiddushin?
No.
So therefore, why be'emet does he disqualify her?
No.
So why does he disqualify her? We said that it had to be. So says the Gemara, Hanach pas lemid mishmel. These ones are going to be pasul because of mishmel. Te'amar Rabbi Yochanan mishum mishmel minayim v'le'eved nochri v'eved shebal bat yisrael v'akohen v'leviya shepsla. She'emar bat kohen ki tiyeh almana grusha v'zera en la. What does that mean? Mi sheyesh lo almenut v'gerushin ba. Only somebody that has an almenut v'gerushin for her. Yatzav v'kavim shelo almenut v'gerushin. And therefore, since it cannot be kiddushin, a woman that has relations with her, she's not shaval betavia. So therefore, she's going to be ne'aseh b'truma because of that biyah. So it's a special pasuk that we're learning it, and this is where we're finishing on Samachet Amud Aleph.